Welcome to the course of Cryptography and Network Security. This course is for 4th BTech first sem. Myself G. Prashanti, Department of Information Technology, Vignan's Lara Institute of Technology and Science. So in today's class we will be discussing about message authentication. Okay, so message authentication, it is concerned with, what is message authentication? Message authentication is concerned with protecting the integrity of the message. Okay, protecting the integrity of a message means that whatever the message the sender is sending to the receiver should receive the message in the same way. Okay, without any tampering by the intruder, without any modification by the intruder, whatever the sender has sent the message, the receiver has to be received exactly in the same way. So that is nothing but integrity. So to provide that integrity also, we will be having like message authentication. So similarly, validating the identity of the originator. So that means that authentication means that validating the source. Okay, so if the receiver is receiving the message from the original sender or not, so that verification is also known as the authentication. Authentication means that validating the source. Okay, or we can say the receiver can verify whether the message he has received it is from the original sender or from the unauthorized person. That verification can be done by the receiver by using this message authentication. Okay, so that is message authentication, validating identity of the originator. Okay, which means that you have to verify whether the message you have received is from the original person, that is original source. Okay, and the third concerned with the message authentication is non-repudiation of origin. Okay, so non-repudiation in the sense that the receiver and the sender should not be able to deny the recipient or the sending of the message. Okay, so to overcome that denying of the receiving or the recipient of the message, we are having like non-repudiation. Okay, so this non-repudiation service is also provided by this message authentication. Okay, so these are the three. Okay, so these are the three concerned that we are having with the message authentication. Okay, by using this message authentication, we can protect the integrity of the message, and similarly we can validate the source. Okay, so we can validate the identity of the source, and similarly we can get that non-repudiation, so as to dispute the resolution. Okay, so to achieve this message authentication, we are having three different types of functions. Okay, so to achieve this message authentication, we can use three types of functions. We can use any of the functions. Okay, so here the first function is message encryption. Okay, you can use message encryption to achieve this authentication, or either you can use message authentication code. Okay, so either you can use this MAC code to validate whether the message you have received is from the original sender or not. Okay, and similarly to check the integrity of the message, that you can do by using the message authentication code, or either you can use the hash functions. Okay, but by using any of these, you can achieve this message authentication. Okay, so here the first one is your message encryption. Already we have said we are having three methods to achieve this message authentication. First one is message encryption. Second one is your MAC code, message authentication code, and the third one is hash function. So coming to the first one is your message encryption. Already you know the message encryption. It is like used to provide the confidentiality. So along with that confidentiality, we can achieve the authentication also. Okay. So here message encryption by itself also provides a measure of authentication. So by doing that encryption, not only the confidentiality, we can achieve the authentication also. Okay, so if you are like using symmetric encryption, okay, already we know you are having two types of encryption, symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. So if you are using like symmetric encryption, then the receiver, okay, the receiver a sender must have created. So how it is authenticating? Since it is a symmetric key, only the sender and the receiver will be knowing the key. Okay, since it is only the sender that is knowing the key, so that means that the message has been encrypted by the sender only. So that is nothing but the authentication, where you will be verifying the identity of the source. Okay, since only the receiver knows the key. Since here the sender and the receiver. Okay, since the sender and the receiver only knows the key, so if the receiver is receiving any message, that means that it must be the sender only that has been sent the message. Okay, and since only sender and receiver know keys. Okay, so since here in symmetric encryption, since only the sender and receiver knows the key, so that means that it must be the sender that have been sent the message, encrypted message. Okay, so this is the one symmetric encryption, where it provides like confidentiality and authentication. Okay, so confidentiality, where the message is encrypted. Okay, the message is encrypted by a key and it will be converted into a scrambled form. So the scrambled means that you are achieving the confidentiality. So how you are achieving the authentication here? Okay, you can achieve the authentication since it has been encrypted by a key K. Okay, and the key K is known only between the sender and the receiver. Since only the source A and destination B only knows the key. Okay, so when we are decrypting it, since we are getting the since we are getting the message, that means that it is from the original sender only. Okay, so since the key, whatever the key that has been used, since the key is known only to the sender, so that means that the message is from the sender only. Okay, so that is the encryption provides confidentiality, only A and B share the key. Since only A and B has the key K, okay, so provides a degree of authentication. It provides some degree of authentication. Okay, could come only from A. Okay, it should be whatever the message that the destination B is receiving, that message will be coming only from A. Only from A. Why? Because the key is known only to A only. Okay, so that here it is providing like authentication. Okay, so here the message could come only from A. How we can say it could become only from A? Because the key is known only to the source only. Since he is knowing the key, so he will be only encrypting it, and when the destination is decrypting it, we are getting the message. Okay, so we are getting the plain text. That means that it has been encrypted by the proper key only. Okay, so from that the destination will be coming to know that it is the sender only. So that is the authentication. Okay, so similarly we can use asymmetric key. Okay, asymmetric key, wherein asymmetric key we will be having both public key and private keys. Okay, so here what the source will be doing is that the source will be encrypting with the private key. Okay, here the source will be encrypting with the private key. So here after encrypting with the private key, what the destination will be doing is that he will be decrypting with the public key of A. Okay, suppose Alice is the source. Okay, suppose Alice is the sender, and suppose Alice is the sender. So what the sender will be doing is that the sender will be encrypting the message with her private key. Okay, and then after encrypting, the ciphertext will be sent to the receiver. So what the receiver has to do is that he has to decrypt the message by using the public key of the source. Okay, or we can say by the public key of the Alice. So when it is decrypted, we will be getting the original message. Okay, since we have after decrypting, since we have got the message correctly. Okay, since we have got a readable message. Okay, since we have got a readable message, that means that it is from the Alice only. Okay, since since the private key and public key are inverse to each other. Okay, so since it is encrypted with private key of Alice, it has to be decrypted with the public key of the Alice only. So since it is decrypted with the public key of the Alice, we will be getting a readable message. Okay, if we use any other key, Okay, apart from this public key of Alice, if we try to use public key of other person like Bob, okay, if we try to decrypt with the public key of other person like Bob, so you won't be getting a readable message. Okay, again you will be getting some scrambled message. Okay, so since after decrypting, since you are getting a readable message, that means that it is sent from the sender only. Okay, that means that it is sent by the Alice only. So the destination will be coming to know. Okay, the destination, or we can say the receiver will be coming to know that the message is from the Alice only. Okay, so here, so any party can use here. So only A has the private key. Okay, so since only A has the private key to encrypt and has not been altered in transient, so required some formatting and redundancy, any party can use, okay, public key of A to verify the signature. Okay, so that is the first one for generating the for providing the authentication. Okay, that is the first method for providing the authentication. That is nothing but the message encryption. So the second method for providing that authentication is the MAC code, message authentication code. Okay, so here what the MAC code does is that it is this MAC code is generated by an algorithm. So here we are having some algorithms like MD5. Okay, MD5, message digest 5. We are having some algorithms like MD5, HMAC algorithms, okay, hash based MAC algorithms. So these are some of the algorithms that are available. So by using this algorithm, we can generate a small fixed size block. Okay, so whatever the MAC code that we are having, we can generate the MAC code. Okay, we can generate the MAC code by applying an algorithm, so that creates a small fixed size block. Okay, so here, here whatever the MAC, we will be using some MAC algorithm over the plain text with some key K. So you will be getting your MAC code. Okay, so here you will be applying some MAC algorithm. Okay, so MAC algorithm on what? MAC algorithm on a plain text with a particular key. After applying this algorithm on this plain text and key, you will be getting a MAC code. Okay, so you can use this MAC code. You can use this MAC code to check the validity of the source. Okay, to check the identity of the source, you can use this MAC code. Okay, so here you will be having some algorithms like MD5, HMAC algorithms that creates a small size fixed size block that is called as the MAC code. Okay, so and whatever the MAC code that is generated, so that MAC code is appended to the message as a signature. Okay, whatever the MAC code that you are generating, this MAC code is appended to the message and then it is sent to the receiver. So here what the receiver will be doing is that the receiver performs same computation on the message and checks if it matches the MAC code. Okay, so what the receiver will be doing is that the receiver will be extracting the message. Okay, so he will be extracting the message. On that message, he will be applying the same MAC algorithm that has been done by the sender. Okay, whatever the MAC algorithm that has been applied by the sender, the same MAC algorithm the receiver will be performing with the same key on the message. So again, he will be getting a MAC code. MAC algorithm that the sender has performed, okay, and he will be applying the same MAC algorithm with the same key on the message and he will be calculating the MAC code. Okay, so after calculating the MAC code by the receiver, what the receiver will be doing is that he matches this MAC code that he has computed with the MAC code he has received. Okay, the MAC code he has received is matched with the MAC code that he has computed. If both are same, that means that the message is from the original sender and it is not being altered by the unauthorized person. Okay, if both are not same, means that, so it means that somebody has tampered the message and also we can say that the message is not from the authorized person. Okay, so that is the process here. Okay, so this is the message authentication code process. Okay, so here what the source will be doing is that he will be taking the message. Okay, so what the source will be doing is that he takes the message. Okay, on that message he will be applying some algorithm like HMAC algorithm. Okay, so he will be applying, for suppose I am saying that HMAC algorithm. Here the source will be applying HMAC algorithm on the message with a key K. Okay, so here he will be applying HMAC algorithm on message M with key K. Okay, so and applying that, what he will be getting is that he will be getting a MAC code. Okay, so and then what he does is that he appends this message with the MAC code. Okay, so appends this message with the MAC code and it is sent to the sender. Okay, and it is sent to the receiver. Okay, whatever the message and MAC code, so both are appended and it is sent to the receiver. So what the receiver will be doing is that the receiver extracts this message. Okay, the receiver extracts the message and on that message again he will be applying the same HMAC algorithm. Okay, so since the sender has used the HMAC algorithm, here the destination again does the HMAC algorithm on the message M with the same key K. Okay, so again he will be getting some MAC code. Okay, after that getting that MAC code, he will be comparing this MAC code so with the MAC code that he has received. Okay, whatever the MAC code that the receiver has calculated, that MAC code is compared with the MAC code that the sender has sent. If both are same, that means that the message has not been altered and it is from the original source. Okay, if both are not same, okay, if this MAC code and this MAC code are not same, okay, if both are not same, that means that the message has been altered by some unauthorized person. Okay, so there is a process of message authentication. Okay, where the message M, so the sender will be applying MAC algorithm. On applying the MAC algorithm, he will be getting a MAC code. So and then he will be appending the message and the MAC code. Okay, so here we can see the message is appended with this MAC code and then this entire part is sent to the receiver. Okay, and after that the receiver, what the receiver will be doing is that the receiver extracts the message. On that message again he will be doing the same HMAC algorithm with the same key and again he will be computing the code. Okay, after computing the code, he will be comparing this code what he has computed with the code that he has received. If both are same, that means that whatever the message he has received, it has been not altered by the unauthorized person. Okay, and it is from the original source. Okay, if both are not same, that means that the message has been altered by some unauthorized person. Okay, and that is about the second one, message authentication code, and the third one is your hash function. Okay, so the third one for achieving that message authentication is your hash functions. Okay, so a hash function produces a fingerprint of some file, message or data. Okay, so here also you will be having some hash algorithm similar to your MAC code. Okay, so in MAC code you will be having some MAC algorithms like HMAC, MD5. So whereby applying that key to that message, you will be getting a MAC code. By using that code, you will be authenticating. Okay, similar to that, only here also you will be having some hash functions. Okay, so you are having some hash functions like H, where this hash function, or we can say this hash algorithm, is applied on the message M. Okay, whatever the message that you are sending to the receiver, on that message the hash algorithm is applied and you will be getting a hash value. Okay, so this is nothing but the hash value, or we can say hash code. Okay, so this is the hash value. Okay, on the message M, you will be applying some hash algorithm. On applying the hash algorithm on the message M, you will be getting a hash value. Okay, so you can use this hash value to check whether to check the integrity of the message and also to know the originality of the message. Okay, or we can say to know whether the message you have received is from the original sender or not. That also you can know by using this hash function. Okay, So here similar to your previous MAC code also. So here also you can use this hash value to verify the authentication and integrity of the message. Okay. So here to generate this hash value. Okay. So to generate this hash value, you can take any message of variable length. Okay. You can take message of variable length, and by applying this hash algorithm, you will be getting a fixed size fingerprint. That is nothing but your H value. Okay, so fixed size fingerprint, or we can say hash value, which is nothing but your H. Okay, so this is the process of the authentication process, or we can say integrity process, where it's in here again. For example, suppose this is your message M. Okay, on the message M, you will be applying a hash function. On the message M, you will be applying a hash function. Hash functions like you are having like SHA algorithm, secure hash algorithm 512. Okay, so this is the common algorithm, commonly used algorithm for generating the hash value. For suppose the source is applying the SHA-512 hash function. Okay, on the message M, he will be getting a hash value. Okay, this is like hash value. Okay, so this hash value is encrypted. Okay, this hash value is encrypted with a key K, and then the encrypted hash value, and then the encrypted hash value is appended to the message, and it is sent to the receiver. Okay, so again, what the receiver will be doing is that the receiver extracts this message M. Okay, the receiver extracts the message M, and he will be applying the same algorithm, SHA-512. Okay, he will be applying the same algorithm that has been performed by the sender. Okay, so he will be applying the SHA-512, and applying that SHA-512 algorithm, he will be getting a hash value. Okay, so that is the hash value that he will be getting after applying this SHA-512 algorithm on the message M. So and then what he will be doing is that he will be decrypting. So whatever the hash value, that encrypted hash value that the sender has sent, okay, whatever the encrypted hash value that the sender has sent, the receiver has to decrypt with the same key. Okay, whatever the key the sender has used, with the same key. So here the receiver has to decrypt the hash value. After decrypting it, he will be comparing this hash value with the hash value that he has computed. Okay, after decrypting, he will be comparing this hash value with the hash value that he has computed. If both are same, that means that the data he has received is from the original sender, and he has received with integrity. Okay, so the message he has received is from the. Okay, so if both hash values are same. Okay, if both hash values are same. If both are same, okay, if both are same, that means that, okay, if both are same, that means that they have received the message from the original sender, okay, and they have received the message with integrity. If both are not same, that means that the message has been altered by some unauthorized person. Okay, so that is about the hash function. That is about the usage of hash function. Okay, so there are some requirements for the hash functions. Okay, so first requirement of the hash function, whatever the hash algorithm you are having, so there are some requirements for that hash function, or we can say hash algorithm. The first requirement is that the hash functions can be applied to any sized message. Okay, or we can say whatever the hash algorithm that you are having, that hash algorithm or a hash function can be applied to a variable sized message. Okay, so it has to be applied on any size message. Okay, and the second requirement is that, so it produces a fixed length H. Okay, when you apply the hash algorithm, okay, when you apply a hash algorithm on the message M, okay, when you apply hash algorithm on the message M, you will be getting a hash value. Okay, and whatever the hash value that you are getting, that should be a fixed size one. Okay, even though this message can be of variable size. Okay, the message can be of variable size. Okay, that message can be of variable size as per our requirement 1, and applying this hash algorithm on this variable size message, you should get a hash value that is of fixed size. Okay, you should get a hash value that is of fixed size. Okay, so that is the second requirement. Whatever the hash value that is generated by the hash function, that should be of fixed size. The third requirement is that it should be easy to compute h. Okay, so knowing this message m, okay, knowing this message m, so applying this hash algorithm on this message m and calculating the hash value should be easy. Okay, that is the third requirement, easy to compute h equal to hm for any message m. Okay, knowing the message m and applying the hash algorithm on the message m, whatever the hash value that you are generating, that process should be easy to compute. Okay, so fourth requirement. The fourth requirement is that given h, it is infeasible to find x. Okay, so here knowing this h value. Okay, since here this is the hash value, and since this hash value is sent through the hash value is sent through your untrusted source, or you can say unsecured communication channel. Since here this h value you are passing through your unsecured communication channel, the unauthorized person will be able to view this h value. Okay, since the unauthorized person is able to view this h value, so knowing this h value, the unauthorized person should not be able to calculate this message x. Okay, so that is the fourth point. It should be infeasible. So it should be infeasible to find the message x. Okay, it should be infeasible to find the message x knowing the h value. Okay, so since your hash value that you are generating, since that hash value is passed through your untrusted network, the unauthorized person is able to view this hash value. So knowing this hash value, okay, if the unauthorized person is able to know this hash value also, so knowing this hash value, he should not be able to achieve this x. Okay, so the unauthorized person by doing some computation on this h value, he should not be able to compute the x value. Okay, so that is the fourth requirement, and this requirement is said to be like one-way property. Okay, so whatever the fourth requirement that is said, that is one-way property. One-way property means that knowing the message m, okay, knowing the message m, applying the hash algorithm, so generating this hash value, it should be easy. Okay, so this process should be easy. This is one way. Okay, so but here knowing this h value, okay, knowing this h value, it should not be able, it should be infeasible to determine this message m. Okay, so knowing this hash value, it should be infeasible to determine this message m. Okay, so that is why it is said to be one-way property. Okay, so and the fifth property, the fifth requirement of your hash function is that given x, okay, given x, knowing the x value, so it should be infeasible to find y. Okay, so knowing your x value, it should be infeasible to find another hash value, that is h of y. So this property is said to be the weak collision resistance. Okay, and similarly the next property is that it whatever the hash function that you are having, so it should be infeasible to find any xy such that hy is equal to hx. Okay, so that means that there should be no two messages. Okay, there should, this means that no two messages should get same hash value. Okay, so this means that no two messages should have the same hash value. Okay, so that is the another one. Okay, so that is the your sixth requirement. Sixth requirement says that there should be no two messages with the same hash value. Okay, so and this property is said to be like strong collision resistance property. Okay, so that is about the different requirements of hash functions.